and I'll just say it that way, tips that I'd like to share with all of you who are here who are caregivers and are caring for a person with cancer or any other disease or disability. Next slide. I'm also going to tell stories because I like to tell stories, and I've heard some wonderful stories the past couple of days. Most of these pictures I took at grant site visits that I did. We fund community organizations to do things in their local community that help support caregivers. I'll talk a little bit more about that because it's part of the reason I'm here this weekend. But this was a grant site we had in San Jose, and they had a large population of Mandarin Chinese. And these, mostly the elders who had come over with their children spoke no English. So when they had any type of a problem that would take them maybe to the emergency room, there was nobody that could convey what type of pain they were feeling or, you know, any type of the symptoms or anything like that. So some of the college students at San Jose State University helped develop a program where they worked and they taught just enough English to these people that they would be able to make their wishes known when they had to go to an emergency facility or to the doctor, you know, just so that they could convey enough to get the appropriate type of treatment that they wanted. So that's my tip number one to family caregivers, is to become informed. There's been a lot of great information shared with you today, and we had some yesterday in the group that we held over at the hospital. But when you're caring for a person with cancer or with any other type of disease or disability, you know, find out as much as you can about that illness and disability. Go to things like this, go to conferences, ask questions, go to your libraries. I know that there are a lot of resources here, and, you know, avail yourself of those resources, because the more you know, the better you can advocate for services for your loved ones, and that's going to help you and them. So always do whatever you can to find out as much as you can about the illness. Next slide. This is something that we've been preaching for years at the Rosalind Carter Institute, and I know that it's a really hard thing to do for caregivers, for family caregivers, but you have got to take care of your own physical, mental, and emotional health. It's been said that the healthiest way to care for another is to care for yourself first. And we know that that's true, and it's common sense, but how many of us do it? My sister and I, we have some caregiving issues in our own family. Our mother is a breast cancer survivor. Our father has Alzheimer's disease. Our mother is his full-time caregiver. So, you know, we know the types of things that come up when caregiving is going on, and we know that the caregiver, for instance, the primary caregiver, our mother, she puts her own needs on the back burner. She's concerned with our father. And so that might mean that she doesn't go to the doctor when she needs to go. She might postpone her visits to the dentist or any of the other things she needs to do to take care of herself because she's concerned about him. But that makes it harder for her to care for him. We've seen through the years, and research has shown also, that in a lot of cases, if a family... Okay. We'll try this one. This one working? This one working? I can just talk real loud because I usually... Okay. I forget exactly where I was with that. Talking about research has shown that in a lot of cases, because a family caregiver isn't taking care of themselves and they're all consumed and spending all their time and energy on caring for their loved one, that sometimes they die first. They die before the person they're providing care for, the person who's really ill. And that's a horrible thing to happen for a lot of reasons, but then the person who's really sick may have no one else to care for them. So I can't stress this point enough, that you have got to take care of yourself and take care of your own needs. Don't neglect your own health. I'll tell a quick story about this photo. We had a grant site in Petal, Mississippi, which is an extremely rural community in Mississippi, a very poor community, and they had a large population of grandparents raising grandchildren. That's also a form of caregiving. And a lot of these children, their parents were either dead or they might be in jail. They might be living on the street with a drug addiction problem, so the grandparents have stepped in and taken the children in and to raise them so that they don't end up in foster homes or in other places. But these were sometimes already elderly people, you know, who had their own health concerns. Now they're taking in these small children, and that's a wonderful thing that they're doing, but then they're neglecting their own health needs in a lot of cases. So there was a program in that community where they actively were helping with physical activities for the grandparents. At the same time the grandparents were doing what they were doing, the grandchildren were doing basketball and swimming and different things like that. And it was all an effort to have both groups take better care of themselves. An interesting thing that happened with this is to be someone who participated in this, they had to have just an initial screening, and there were two different instances where the grandparents, two different grandparents had problems that were life-threatening if not acted upon immediately, and I mean within the next 48 hours. Those things would not have been caught had they not had to go through a screening to be able to participate in this program. So, you know, I can't stress enough the need to take care of yourself. Next slide. And I stole this off of Facebook, a picture that was shown. But this tip is realize that you can't do it alone. Allow others to help. I think sometimes as caregivers, especially family caregivers, we think no one else can do it as good as us. No one else is going to care as much about the person as us. And while it might be true that no one else is going to care or love the person as much as us, nobody is Superman or Wonder Woman. And we might think that we are, but we're not. And we can't do it all. It's too overwhelming of a task. A lot of caregivers are working full-time. They might also be what we call sandwich caregivers. They might be caring for elders in their family who have diseases or illnesses, and might also be caring for young children, and might also be working too. So that there's a lot of stuff going on, and nobody can do it alone. One thing that I think we lose sight of in not allowing others to help is how many people that are out there that really get a lot of satisfaction out of being allowed to help people. So if you allow others to come in and help you in whatever way they're able to provide you some help and support, you're helping them to feel valued. So try to keep that in mind. A lot of times people will ask when they see a family that's struggling and has some caregiving issues, what can I do to help? And how many times do we say, oh, nothing, I've got it covered, I can do it all myself. A better thing to think about is when you're not under a lot of stress at home, what are some concrete things somebody could do? Maybe it's just come over and mow the grass. Maybe it's go pick up the groceries for me because I really don't have time to do it. People will do things. People will be willing to help you. So, you know, come up with a list of things so the next time somebody asks you, what can I do to help you, you've got something to tell them to do, and they can have some satisfaction out of knowing that they've helped you. Next slide. I've heard a lot about this today. It's very important to nurture your faith and spirituality. People have different beliefs, and whatever those are, when you're under stress, when you're caring for someone who has cancer or any other disease, this is not a time to forget about your faith and spirituality. This is a time to tap into it more. Whether it's meditation, whether it's through church, whether it's through something that I do personally, sitting for hours quietly watching birds. Whatever it is, whatever brings you a source of strength and helps you continue on with what you're doing to help provide support to somebody, do that. Nurture your faith and spirituality. This picture was taken in Aurora, New Mexico at a grant site we had there several years ago. Next slide. Become an advocate for those you care for and for other caregivers. And isn't that what this conference is all about? You know, it's everybody pulling together. Maybe one voice alone won't be heard, but a lot of voices together makes a lot more noise. And I've heard a lot of really good tips from other people who have spoken about how you can